Actually, my mission on 22 February 69 kind of set the tone, and that had to do with we had identified an enemy unit off to the flank of our assault down the Ashaw Valley towards Laos on 22 February. Again, my mission was to see if it was still there. If it was, do something about it. Well, the fight really started after I found them, and they kind of give me a clue as to where they were because they opened up with a machine gun and a mortar, and that's in a dense jungle, so it really didn't hurt me that much because the rounds were up in the trees and the mortars were bursting in the top of the trees. So I focused on the source with 2 platoons. A Marine Rifle platoon, a company has 3 platoons. I had 2 platoons in the assault, 1 behind me. And the company commander in that situation is behind his assault unit, right behind him, and his reserve is behind him, so he can decide how he's going to use it to influence the situation. Well, it got bad at the point of my assault stall because they opened up with multiple machine guns, and along with that was the realization there was a bigger force than my understrength Marine Rifle Company. I had less than 90 Marines going into the fight. Correction, I had less than 90 Marines going off the hill to look for the fight, but then I had lost a squad and 2 others with an earlier commitment. Didn't lose a squad, I committed them, made another commitment. So that had me less than 80 Marines going into the fight. And to jump ahead a little bit, to put that in perspective, there were 105 counted dead NVA bodies in the position when it was all over. Just to give you an idea of what we were up against, in addition to all the automatic weapons fire, the machine guns involved in it. My action really comes in at the point when at the stalled point of my assault, what am I going to do about it? Well, the only way a commander can know what to do about it is check it out. Well, that meant I had to move forward to my advance elements, the rifle squads of the 2 assaulting platoons in that jungle, because again, it's dense jungle. You can never see more than a person on your right or your left. When I directed my small command group, my radio operators and artillery FO, to stay where they were as I moved forward to see what my next action was. Of course, the first Marine I come to in the forward element was down, killed. The one to the right of him was wounded, and a corpsman was taking care of him. The next Marine, as I moved along my front flank, was wounded and down. And I really felt like that I had 2 options because of the Marines. If a Marine was down and wasn't firing his rifle, he came across no different to me than a casualty. So I really thought I was hurt worse than it turned out I was at that stage. Had 2 options: break contact and withdraw, or commit my reserve platoon. Well, I really wanted to break contact because I realized we were up against a hard wall. We can't really do it, okay? Well, in this jungle, to break contact and get out means I've got to have all my Marines with me. We don't leave anybody behind. And for me to get the dead and the wounded out from under their guns is going to cost me more Marines. Well, I have enough Marines to carry my dead and wounded and fight off the enemy. That was quite obvious to me that can't do it. Left my second option, which was commit my reserve platoon to make a difference. Well, my reserve platoon was the one that I sent a squad earlier on an earlier mission and had had the 2 casualties from hitting the enemy's outpost. So they had, that reserve platoon was less than 20 Marines to make a difference in my fight. Well, I committed them, and it did make a difference, thanks to the leadership of that platoon. The platoon commander of that platoon was wounded when I gave him the directions to move forward in the attack. And I turned the platoon over to my executive officer, the second in command of the company, to lead them forward. And Lee Hearn did that. Followed me, and the Marines moved forward and really got my assault moving again. The real high point to me in that fight was just a little bit after Lee Hearn took the two platoons forward and got them moving somewhat again, and then hit against more heavier machine gun fire. Well, just, I don't know what it means, but it has something to do with who we are and why we're doing it, because this day was a rainy, misty, foggy day. Again, we're in the jungle, you can't see anything, but it's compounded by the fact it was a misty rain falling. We couldn't use air. Marines are great for using our air guys, bringing in air support to knock out the tough spots. Couldn't do that because of the environment, the morning weather. Well, just at the point I'm talking about, the sky opened up, sunshine in that jungle. I called my battalion commander on the radio, found out he had 2 OV-10s on standby just in case I could use them. Gave me their call sign. I got those 2 OV-10s in, brought them in on the machine gun that was really had me pinned down. Several machine guns, but the OV-10s took care of that. And that actually kind of ended our fight. That had it all over with the knockout of those machine guns, and thanks to the air support. The one thing that I did that day, again, I'm credited with leading my company in that fight. But as I mentioned earlier, one man, one leader is only going to influence 2 others, not your whole line. 3 platoons, once I committed my reserve platoon, 3 platoons moving forward in the assault. Early in the fight, I lost all 3 platoon commanders, the lieutenants in charge of the platoons. So I was the only officer left. But what my point is I want to make is what gave us that fight, gave us the opportunity to win it, is what we did before that day. And that had to do with talking about, with rehearsing how we as a company, as a unit, would do things. And what I'm really talking about to you vets, you guys that worn a uniform, the big difference, the negative difference in that war, Vietnam and the Korean War, was the individual replacement. At the time I took over Alpha 19, all of us had come in as individuals. We had never trained, rehearsed, or worked together. Like we're doing now in the Iraqi war, Marine battalions are pulled out of Iraq after a certain amount of months, back into the States, and they get their new replacements in, and they can train and work together. And put that in what I'm really talking about in the analogy of football. You can have 11 great football players that really know the game, strong, all those things that you need in a football player, but until a coach sets them down and says, we're going to run these plays. Smith, you do this thing. Jones, you do this other thing. In this particular play, you aren't going to have a winning team. Well, that's really what the Marine Corps and the Army were faced with in the Vietnam War. Individual replacement. New guys coming in, and while you're on an operation, while you're in a firefight, they never had a chance to train, work together. In the Vietnam War, different from my experience in the Korean War, all Marines were well trained in infantry tactics. But again, they had never trained, never had gone on an operation with those that they were working with. So they never had the opportunity to talk about a better way to do it, to discuss what had just taken place. Well, I had an opportunity to do that with my Alpha company and with a mission and providing security around the Vandergrift combat base. And that gave me a chance to set my Marines down to talk about how we would do things, to know what to expect out of the Marine on his flank and what was expected out of him. So that day on 22 February, when the stuff hit the fan and I lost all my platoon leaders, each Marine knew what was expected of him because and what he would expect on the Marines on his flank, and that was moved to the enemy's guns. And I'm sure that that's really what gave us the success in